Welcome back everyone. So I found this game the other day. It's called Voidtrain. So in terms of if it's worth or not, I would say yes. So I'll go over a few things of essentially what I've sort of seen and as sort of my thoughts on it so far. I'll try not to ruin the story or anything. I won't actually talk about the story, but I'll also go over a few game mechanics and stuff like that. And I will say there are a couple problems, but hopefully they'll get ironed out, as is for that reason of this is on console. Anyway, so first thing to still go over. In terms of gameplay, it's kind of like the raft. So pretty much when you start, you get a single piece or a single foundation, and you've literally just got to, as is quite literally like the raft, you're going through this essentially void on these tracks, and you've got to collect resources as you go. What I have noticed is the more things you build and unlock, the newer resources you actually find. For just an example is this void stuff. So I didn't actually get this stuff to start spawning until I built, I can't remember what it was. I think it was like the high level smithy. So in terms of resources, if you are trying to find certain resources that you might have seen somewhere else or whatever, I will say that's usually what you have to do is you actually have to try and build that resource first. So it's like I've got a diesel engine type of thing, and there's like these lumps. I will say kind of ruining story, but not exactly. But there are these like lumps you find. They can be broken down, and they contain essentially the fuel for it. Now, when you're starting out, you won't find those at all for that reason. You haven't essentially got the right stuff. Although it may be a progression lock type thing. I'm not 100% sure on that one, only because as I've been slowly getting stuff as much as I can. So for what I've seen, it is more so essentially the the more you unlock, the more resources that appear. Essentially, that's essentially is literally the type of gameplay for that sort of stuff. It is nice, I will say. It's very much different to the type of games I normally play. Very much so. So that's it. I was actually going to try and play the raft when it came on the console, but this is kind of a slightly better raft in a way. Ironically enough, there is a shark out here in the void. He's not around at the moment, I think because I'm stopped for a quest, but yes, there is a shark. You can, I think, change that to be more than one, but yes, they'll come past and destroy your stuff, very much like the raft. In terms of gameplay sort of stuff as well, it is quite peaceful, as is you're not being attacked every 5 odd minutes or something, or every minute sort of thing. You will find some encounters along the tracks, essentially of random enemies. It can be, well, I say it'll always pretty much what I've seen so far be human enemies, but as is they might just be a little thing. You can either stop the train and fire them, or you can just continue on your way, sort of thing. So that's kind of the yeah no for that. So if that's the type of game you want to play, as is definitely worth for that reason. It's different what I normally play, but it is still nice and relaxing for that reason of, as such, it's not fast paced or anything like that. You literally go at your own pace type of thing. So that's the beauty of it. There isn't exactly perks either, as is I played RPGs and survival games type of thing. This is kind of a survival game, but yes, it is. For what I've seen, more like as is literally like the raft type of thing. You're literally just building and upgrading essentially you're trying to haul better stuff, and to essentially create bigger and better items. So a couple things I will say though, sort of what I've gone over as is for what is good. A couple things I have noticed, kind of the only two things I sort of have found that annoys me is the gunplay and the enemies, how they work type of thing. So in terms of gunplay, so you first get this revolver. Now, most games, I will admit, either when you go like that, they'll lock onto your enemies. Kind of like in GTA, you can have that scene where they'll lock onto it and stay locked onto it, or or they won't lock on at all, or sort of thing. If there's like an enemy, say that piece of scrap there, sort of thing. If I'm looking at that when I zoom in, sort of thing, it won't snap to it. So it's usually fully snap or unsnap. This vaguely, or it does snap on them, but it doesn't stay onto them. And then a few games I have played like that, you can normally do like the quick zoom in, you like that, and then boom, and then keep going like that type of thing. So, but this doesn't exactly work with that. In terms of weaponry, I've learned even with the revolvers, it's just to keep your gun like that, looking at them and just try and fire off as many shots as you can, sort of thing. So that's kind of, I will say, the best I can sort of explain for gunplay, how to sort of work around that. Honestly, gunplay you may not like, but once you start getting it, you can get you can quite literally get these other guns from enemies, or you can build them yourself. I still haven't exactly figured that one out, because I'm used to games where you build stuff, it either says it's a assault rifle, or it's a shotgun, or it's a pistol, or it's whatever type of thing. This one, I think I've got a gun that's a shotgun, but it looks like a rifle, but it fires like a shotgun. It's, yeah, kind of weird on that. So this is one thing as is literally a note for that in terms of gunplay. I was actually going to drop this game, I will admit, within the first 5 minutes of getting a gun and actually having to use it, for that reason of I found the gunplay to be really bad, but then as is I did get used to it, and as is I'm really enjoying this. One other thing is, and probably the most important as is with this being on Xbox Series X, well that's what I'm on, I've looked up, there are posts about it, other people having the same problem. When you move these tracks, and I say it's because of there's supposed to be too many things on the train or something, but that's kind of the problem with this stuff is, so there's all the workbenches, I was going to have like one cart, because these can be like, for I understand, a max of 4 long type thing, but I was going to have like a greenhouse one specifically, and that would also hold my water items sort of thing. I was going to have like a storage area with all my workstations, blacksmithing and all that type of stuff, that sort of same sort of thing, of most things to go in there. So I was literally going to have each train to be a train part to be a specific thing, but then what I actually had to do here was, so this here is my storage currently. I added a secondary train part instead of expanding that. I still don't know if I've done that correctly or if I want to have that, but yes, anyway, as you move stuff around, so when you add a new wagon, that will put it right at the end instead of allowing you to choose where it goes. So when you do try to move that for that reason, you want a new one, and you think, all right, I've got all this sort of how I want it. I want to chuck a greenhouse sort of track thing up here. It will crash the game. If you're quick enough and you can save, then that's where I'd say to do that. But that can be quite difficult. So you've got to literally do the save game like that and do it that way for that sort of thing. Because that makes it a lot, honestly, just a hell of a lot easier doing it that way as is than trying to rely on auto saves or anything like that. But hopefully that does get fixed. I suppose any other things I've found is, well, I don't really know what else I could actually go over with this as is in terms of stuff. As it is, it's not a fast-paced game. As it's a very peaceful, relaxing game. As is, story so far is pretty cool. There is a couple puzzles, so if you're not the biggest puzzle fan like myself, I'm not really a puzzle fan, but I found the puzzle to be easy. So if I can figure out the puzzle, anyone can figure out the puzzle. So that's one thing there. But also, admittedly, as is, I still don't know if I'm going to do guides for this, because the guide I looked up for the puzzle originally, I didn't see where I was supposed to look, and turns out all the guides online are all like from when this was first released back, I think 2023, and the puzzle guide is not working. Because the one I saw, there was like 5 pieces to turn. The one I had was only 3 pieces. It was the exact same island and everything. So things have changed. Literally guides, I will say, literally guides for everything online do not work. It's like these little alien dudes. Well, I've looked up, if I understand originally, there were ones that I'm going to kind of spoil some stuff in this for a moment, but there's fair warning. If you're not worried about spoilers, turn off now for as this, because I'll be finished up in a minute. But anyway, So these little alien dudes, apparently from understanding what I've read online, is it used to be there was ones that would tend your gardens specifically, could do your gardens and repair stuff, but you've got to have stations for them. So it's like this cleaner's station sort of thing. So it says there cleans dirt and repair, and like there we go, it repairs parts on the train or whatever it is, or tinkerer's one. And then we got like this dude who's like the actual farmer. So for what I've been reading online, or as is literally I'm understanding how it used to be, was literally some of these dudes would only repair stuff and only farm and whatnot like that. So yeah, kind of hard to know what's what, honestly, for that reason. The in-game guides aren't the most informative to a degree, as is like I will say, this thing being a locomotive, and then these are the wagon carts. What I've read online, it says to focus on locomotive carts because they apparently are the hauling power. But for what I understand, it's actually these engines are the hauling power because they make it so you can have more. So still not 100% sure on how half of that stuff works. That's all stuff I'm going to learn. And that's is why I still may make some guides and stuff for that reason of, as there's some things I've sort of learned along the way and stuff like that. But anyway, as this, hope one has enjoyed. As this, again, just very quickly go over the stuff, as this, it's not a lot, so to speak, to be doing in this game, and as I sort of said, there wasn't exactly a lot to go over. I have been sort of rambling, but as is, it isn't like other games where there is a whole heap of stuff. There isn't a lot of managing like there is, but there isn't. It's essentially very much just you have stations, you assign a dude to it, they can do stuff here and there sort of thing. So as is, it's very much just a very peaceful game sort of thing so far, and it's very simple as is. It's literally just going through the void on a track, collecting resources and that, but still it might be simple, but it is quite enjoyable nonetheless. Anyway, as is, hope everyone has enjoyed, and I shall see everybody next time.